Chapter 2 of Birth, Time, Mortality by yours truly, James Holmes, 00HOCWWID. Chapter 2, Birth. Now, I want to start this chapter off with my outlook of this portion, and this outlook gives me peace with a lot. And basically what it is whenever you start off in the womb, and the pregnancy pregnancy starts. I look at the womb as like an installation, like an installation. Basically, what gives me peace is and it makes me think, it gives me the peace of mind of thinking that, every person is their own individual program. So basically, when you start off in the womb, the installation process begins, and Earth is like the computer. So basically, you're going through the installation process. Your life is installing. And life knows, every single thing you are going to do, every single thing you are not going to do. It knows what obstacles that is going to be put in front of you. And it knows exactly what you are going to choose. But the thing is there are multiple routes within the program that is installing. So let's just say, for instance, you have a rough childhood, and you don't go the route that you needed to go. Say you go to the addiction part. Well, no worries. Life has installed that part. It has programmed that part in your program. So it has that part already installed, and it knows every single thing that you are going to do, every single choice that you are going to make in that part of life. Now, say you don't go that route and you go a career route. No worries. That is in your program. That was installed in the first place. It knows what career you're going to go for. It knows all the choices that you're going to choose, and it knows how your life is going to play out if you choose that route. Now, say you don't go the career route, but you just go to just making it. You're just living, but you're just making it route. No worries. Life has that one checked off too, because that was in your program as well. And it knows every single choice that you are going to choose in that route. It knows exactly every single thing that you are going to do in that choice of life. Now, say you take the family route. Now, there's several different family routes that you can take. You can be the unsupportive father. You can be the father that's always working and never ever home. You could be the supportive father. You could be the stay-at-home father. There's many different platforms of which way that you can go. But no worries. Whichever one you choose, it's already in your program. And life already knows every single thing that you are going to choose, every single obstacle that you're going to face. It knows every single thing. No matter what route in life you take, it has been installed in the first place. So that is, that's how I look at the pregnancy part of the birth process. I like to look at it as a program, and your life is being installed. Now, when you are born, that means the installation of the program is complete. Everything has been installed, and now it is complete. Now you have been presented to the world. And see, I kind of already broke that part down, but I'll break it down again. So basically, now that the installation part is complete, now life is in your hands, and life knows every single move that you're going to make, no matter what route in life you take. No matter what choices you choose to do, no matter what obstacles you choose to face, no matter what obstacles you choose to refuse to face. Life knows how every single part is going to play out. Because Earth is the computer, every individual is their own individual program. And every individual program is programmed completely different. Let's see here. Oh, man. Born into. All right. Now, one thing that you are out of control. Now, I have read many theories on this part. Many theories. Many good theories, actually. But I won't get into theories. I'm just going to keep it plain Jane, straight to the point. But basically, when it comes to the environment that you were born in, there was zero control in that choice. Zero control. You couldn't pick what environment you wanted to be a part of. You're just there. You are the outcome. But believe it or not, the way that I look at it, you are there on a mission. You are there on a mission. And this mission is very crucial because you literally have a choice to be the difference in the environment that you have been brought into, or you can just be, you can just abide with the environment and go with the flow of the environment. It all depends on you. Now, usually with kids, they choose to abide and go with the flow of everything. But then, there are kids that, refuse to go with the flow because they can see how dysfunctional everything really is, which usually gets to the point to where the child is going to be alienated from not going with the flow and not abiding. They're going to be alienated by the parents. But you, basically, this part is in your hands, but it's not your responsibility. Now, it will get to a point to where it becomes your responsibility, because when you reach a certain age, there's no excuse of why you are continuing. Whether it's a bad outcome or a good outcome. A lot of people, say the environment made me this way, blah, 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 but you get old enough to where you are in control now, But we haven't got that far yet. Right now we're at the, the birth process and adapting and everything. Let's take a look here. Now, what's going to happen during your upbringing, there are several different things that happen, in a child's upbringing. And, this is not your responsibility. None of it is. Let me tell you this. None of the things that happen in your childhood, your developing stages, is not your responsibility. There are some very, very toxic households that make every single thing the child's responsibility. Every single thing. From the kid's mental health, everything. everything is their responsibility. The parents will literally throw it back at the child, not take responsibility for anything, and they will make the child completely responsible for everything. And I want to inform you, if this was your childhood, none of that was your responsibility. None of it. Because, number one, that those kind of parents refuse to look at is how big the world is, how new the world is, how much you are trying to learn, and how much you are trying to survive. Because if you're in that kind of household, you're trying to survive the household. You're not living in those kind of households. You're trying to survive in those kind of households. Because literally everything you do, the parent's not going to take responsibility at all. They're throwing it back at you, but you don't even know what you're responsible for. Because you have no clue what is going on in the world. No clue at all. This is a manipulation tactic in those kind of households. And, you're not responsible. Period. Let's see here. Alrighty, so yeah, basically everything is going to be analyzed by life through your upbringing and everything. And the thing is energy is one of the strongest forms, of keeping, that type of environment, declining or fixing it. If the parentals are doing their part and trying to fix themselves, because at the end of the day, we are all flawed. We are all humans. Maybe things started off rocky, you know what I mean? But, so right now, we're at the baby phase, and everything the parents do in front of you is crucial. Very, very crucial. But a lot of families don't look at it like that. They think, it's just a baby. They can't understand anything that I'm doing, But literally, they're going to be more sensitive. Everything is going to alarm them completely different. Every baby is completely different. Every baby is more sensitive than the other, because they're trying to adapt. They are in learning mode. These are crucial times. And everything the parental does, that can cause a detrimental outcome in a heartbeat, So if you got very neglecting parents, this is definitely going to scar, the baby, going to scar them in that process, because you're literally forgetting about them. If you are continuously letting the baby do things that it shouldn't do, and you're one of those parents that are like, oh, the baby will learn. If he gets hurt enough, yeah, he'll learn. Yeah, you're doing things horribly. You're doing things horribly. And you are causing a lot of emotional trauma at a very, very crucial age. Very, very crucial age. And, the list can go on when it comes to dysfunctional parentals and stuff. And now, once again, I want to let you know that we're all flawed. We're all flawed. But there literally are some parents that have kids who should not have kids, because they themselves mentally have not grown up at all. And so they think that, they have grown up because they have a kid. But no, you need to grow up in the mental in order to raise a kid properly, because every kid is going to be completely different, and they don't understand how crucial, that is to the baby's upbringing. But I will tell you, life does know how the outcome of the baby is going to be, and which mission your parentals chose for you. Because one thing is, whenever it comes to being pregnant, life is putting in their program, one of the choices that they got to choose. How I was explaining in every program. So once they have become pregnant, life is giving them the choice. Are you going to, do option A? Are you going to grow up? Are you going to do, option B, just wing it? Are you going to do option C, let the baby be completely responsible for themselves, or is it going to be option C? Are you going to get therapy? Are you going to come to peace with a lot of your past, because now you got a whole new life coming into your life, and you can acknowledge that you are not prepared, and you're wanting to do everything in your power to make sure that you're going to be a good parent for this life that is coming into your life. And the options can go on and on and on to different scenarios. I just wanted to put out the most typical ones. But usually, on top of it, face it, it's like a showboating thing. Yeah, we're pregnant. Yeah, we're going to have a kid. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. They're looking at it as a fun time. There's nothing fun. It's nothing fun. There's nothing fun about having a child. That's not fun. It is a very crucial moment, and it is something that needs to be taken serious. Basically, quit showboating and take it serious, because your life is cut off. Your life is no longer. You need to stop living for you. It's time you live for that child. And that is what a lot of parentals, don't choose to do. They usually choose a selfish route. They refuse to take responsibility because they are not at peace with a lot of stuff from their past. So mentally, they're still in the mind of a child. And so you have people who are at a mind of a child raising babies. And this is a very, very scary, scary thing. And because those are the ones who are going to be the narcissistic route. And that's a very scary process, because that poor innocent child, big world, everything, trying to learn everything, trying to ask questions about everything, those kind of parents are going to get irritated from the multiple of questions, whether you're asking the same questions, so on and so on and so on. They're going to have a breaking point. These type of households have a breaking point. And that's when, heavy damage is provided to an innocent life, because they are still choosing their comfort zone, and they're trying to maintain with whatever bad habits and other stuff that they have going for them, while the child is constantly assigned that, hey, you need to stop doing that, just giving out those blatant warning signs. And instead of the parental looking at their hobbies and interests that they use to cope with life and fixing it, they silence the child so they can continue. Very scary process. But the thing is, that's just one, That's just an example of just one out of many. But life does know which route that those parentals are going to take when they have, that pregnancy is there. Life knows which option they're going to take, but they have been presented, with the choices, and they made their choice on what they're going to do. And the choice that they have chose, that's going to be the outcome of the child. Let's see here. So, like I was saying, very crucial times, being a baby. But also, I do want to inform you that life is literally seeing everything. It's like a security camera. And because you know how some parentals, they'll argue in a different room so the baby don't see or something like that. It does not matter. Like I said, energy is a very, very heavy force. That baby can feel everything. It can feel the hostility in the air. It can feel the tension in the air. It can feel everything in the air. So that really don't do anything going into a different room, because when you do come back around the baby, guess what happens? They feel every single bit of energy from you guys. They can feel it. They just can't pinpoint it, but they can feel it. But yeah, you got to look at life like a surveillance camera, because it's going to know what route you're going to choose. It's going to know every single thing that you are going to do. It's going to know every single thing. It's going to leave you a wide variety of choices on how to respond to something, and it knows which one you are going to choose. Let's see here. All right, so let's see here. Now, just like in the first chapter, I was speaking about rugs and, how they sweep things under the rug, Now, you're presented with this rug, like, after being born, and the choices that they have made, because life already knows what choices they have chose ahead of time. And so if they didn't even attempt to clean that rug, during the pregnancy time, I hate to break it to you, but if they didn't choose to clean that rug up, because you got to think it's from both families. You got the mother's rug and, all the stuff that is in denial, basically denial, carried down from generation after generation after generation after generation, that was, put down on that parental, on the mother's side. And then you got the father's side of, denial and other things that have been piled up under a rug from his side of the family after generation after generation after generation. Now, if they do not do some cleaning while the mother is pregnant, I hate to break it to you, but once you're born and they choose not to clean that rug at all, those rugs are going to be presented to you right at birth. Now, this was completely out of your control, but they're literally not taking responsibility for their life, and they are going to make you responsible for everything. That's what those type of environments, and this is a majority environment. This is not just one household or a very rare occasion. This is literally majority every single home, because they don't take children as serious as they should, and it's sad. So when that child is born and those parents didn't do any cleaning at that rug, and they kept sweeping things under the rug and everything, I hate to break it to you, child, but as soon as you are born, you are going to be met with some rugs. And you are going to be given a choice that you shouldn't have even been given, because it should have been taken care of. Because you are a brand new life, You are a brand new life. And now you're presented with these 2 rugs in front of you. Given a responsibility to a kid that the kid didn't even ask for. But this is what is going to create your mission. Especially if the rug is presented to you and they're not taking responsibility. Because you really think that, if it comes to if you're pregnant, you really think you would look down at your stomach and be like, I got a whole life inside of me. This is scary. This is a scary concept. Because I don't even know if the development stages are happening in the womb. I don't know. I'm not a scientist or anything. I don't even know if the baby is analyzing stuff from the womb. I don't know. But that's stuff that they should be questioned. That's stuff that they should be questioning. Because, you do have some mothers who will drink and smoke. And, the whole 9 yards, whatever addictions they have and everything, doing it with a baby. They're not thinking that they have a whole life inside of them. Not at all. All they are thinking of is escaping that moment. And that's scary. That's very scary. Because that poor innocent child is, going to be held accountable for everything. Even though that child has no idea what the heck is going on. It's not going to. Let's see here. So basically, after the birthing process and, being presented the rug that you will be held responsible for. Because the thing is, as you grow up, the rug is going to be very blatant. Because you're having to adapt in an environment that you shouldn't have been adapting to in the first place. The parental should have been, correcting and fixing things and making them presentable for you so that they could make the learning process a whole lot easier for you. Because this is crucial. A brand new life being presented to, a life that has already been going, And it all boils down to, when I was saying you get to a certain age, whether you can be the difference and, continue from there, or you can continue to be the, example from the environment that you grew up in, Now, a lot of, parentals will try to wing it and, say that they're being the difference by not getting the crucial help that they need from their developing stages and everything that happened to them. And but the thing is you're correcting yourself all wrong. You're correcting yourself all wrong. Because somewhere along the lines, it's going to be crucial, as you're going to make a crucial move, and you're going to make plenty of crucial moves. That's going to be a detrimental, blow to the child while they're learning. And a lot of people do not put any of that into consideration. But anyway, the baby's learning from you. It's trying to adapt. It's growing with time. 1, 2, 3, 4, eventually picks up speaking and, adapting a lot better and, understanding everything. And it knows everything that the mother does, knows everything the father does, any kind of siblings. It knows how they are. It knows how they respond to things. It's picking up literally everything to adapt to the best of its ability. But the thing is, if you are in one of those homes, which, it's a majority home, it's a majority of households, but every household is completely different, and every household's dysfunctions are completely different. It's going to see, especially if they're siblings. There are siblings. The siblings are going to, add their addition to the rug, ahead of time. So if you're the youngest, you're not only getting the rug from mom and dad, but you're also getting, rugs that have been developed from other children, who were here before you. You're getting their rugs as well that you're going to have to be responsible for if they're not taking responsibility for it. And, to be honest, if they're still children, they're not even responsible. That's the parent's responsibility. But now if those siblings get to a certain age and they pick up their rug from, that household and everything, and they start cleaning their rug, and then they start making their way to the rug that mom dropped off for them to be responsible for at birth, and the rug that the dad dropped off at birth, and they start cleaning that, you'll notice a big game changer, because that's the type of person that's going to be the difference. That's the type of person that's going to be the example. But that type of person is also going to be alienated in the process. So if you and there are rare occasions where the child will be the difference. But the thing is usually in those households, the child will be the difference in a corrupt manner, because their mind's already been distorted, their mind's already been corrupt. And they'll lean more towards the corruption because all they know is the environment. They can acknowledge those type of the difference in the family as a child. They can acknowledge, what's wrong, but they can't pinpoint it. They can pinpoint some things, but they can't pinpoint who they need to be, because that example has never been set to them, never been set for them. So pretty much they're trying to be the difference with the best capability that they have, because that example was never set for them. There were literally households where there is literally no one to look up to. There is no one to look up to. And so you find father figures. And you find mother figures, to try to, fix a lot. But the thing is if those father figures and mother figures came from the same family that you were in, it's just going to add more to the corruption. I mean, it's literally no way out. But eventually, the child who is the difference at that route, they're going to be met with a breaking point. Because they realizing that the weight's just getting heavier and heavier and heavier. They're trying to be the difference. They're alienated on a lot. But they're trying. But they don't even know if they're making the right moves or not. Because that example was never set, because no one was ever the difference in their life. Everyone was the same as everyone. From aunts, uncles, and so on. Everyone was the same environments were the same. Sure, it was treated different. A lot of people lived in those environments completely different by each household, but it was still the same environment. It was still the same outcome of the environment that has been carried down generation after generation after generation. The kid don't know anything outside of the generation, that's been carried down over and over and over again. It don't know it don't know the difference. I don't know the difference. So that's a very scary concept to think about, because you have someone, as a child that would be trying to be the example that is necessary, but they don't know. They don't know what example is necessary because they've never been presented with it, And if their siblings watching them, oh man, it just adds on to their rug, because they see you being alienated over there. It usually could be the oldest, and if the oldest was never the difference, then the middle one has that chance to be the difference. If it's not the middle one, it's the small one, and so on and so on and so on. But there are some family lines where there is no difference, because they've been molded so well to adapt in that type of dysfunctional environment. They don't know anything different. They become just completely codependent on every single thing. They don't have their own outlook or anything. And that's scary. It's scary. And because there are children who are the difference in their family that have their own outlook, but yet they're not able to speak on their own outlook and stuff that they are trying to figure out, because they have to adapt in the confinements of their dysfunctional environment that they were brought into. But throughout the aging process, the kid is learning every single thing. Learn to speak and everything. It's adapting, it's speaking, it's doing every single thing that it can. But it's also still trying to maintain that childlike state. So, many questions, lots of energy, playing, just a kid being a kid. And eventually, that child is going to be met with a traumatic experience. Now, this is a very, 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 very crucial thing, because a lot of it's not going to be remembered by, the cause of the scenario. It's basically an immature reaction to a child that looks up, to the creator of this traumatic experience that's going to happen in that child's life. Now, the traumatic experience can go on at any age. The younger, the more crucial, I've watched, oh man, I'm not even going to say the name of the documentary because it was just so horrendous. It was based on, hospitals, but it was like the dark side of the hospitals, the children. And I mean, it was some very disgusting things that were coming out of like the mouths of 4-year-olds and the stuff that they have experienced, 6-year-olds and stuff like that. It was just disgusting. It was disgusting. I had to turn it off. I couldn't watch it. It was just disgusting. But so traumatic experiences, they can happen at any time. You don't know when they're going. It's like Russian roulette. There's a bullet in the chamber, and it's clicking away. You're still aging and that trigger still being pulled, and then bam, it finally hits the one with the bullet. Okay. Now, this moment, this traumatic moment, is never going to be forgotten by the child. Never. Never, never, never. They are going to remember this moment just like it was yesterday. Because this moment right here is the moment that they are never going to forget. Because this is the moment where they had to cut off their childhood, their developing stages to survive. This moment right here. So, this is going to be a long-term effect. This is going to affect everything in the developing stages. Everything. Because now they are just trying to survive. They are just trying to survive. And they're still a freaking child. Still a child. And they're more than likely being held accountable for the reaction of, whoever caused that traumatic experience in their life. Being held accountable, being held responsible for something that they don't even know. That reaction that caused that traumatic experience was the person who created that, which was the person that reacted to a child in that manner. You, the person who created, you are responsible for doing that to that child, because now you messed that child up from just that one moment. Just that one moment. The child developing process is now put on hold. And so now the child is basically just trying to survive. And which basically leads to, just years and years of adapting, abiding, stepping on eggshells, trying to keep, the parentals pleased, and, not making any contact at all on a lot. And if they do try to make contact, they make sure that it's in the confinement and the comfort of the parentals, because right now they are terrified. They are terrified. They are terrified. And they will live the rest of their developing stages terrified. Terrified. Which gets me into the next subject of this is, now, to adapt to these type of dysfunctional environments, the child is going to look for some form of escape mechanism, so that it can forget, the environment that it lives in. Reading, tons of reading, playing toys, being a kid, except now they're playing like an highly amount of toys, and the playing with toys process can exceed past developing stages, because that was always an escape, and they were trying to hold on to that inner child the best to their ability, but that child was put on hold due to the traumatic experience. I'll use me as an example. I played with toys for a frickin' long time. So, it exceeds. It can exceed into adulthood even. It can exceed into adulthood. Because that is the only way of the child trying to find where they left off. But it can't be found by doing stuff like that, because they don't know, but they're escaping by doing that. You're escaping. you're using your creative mind to play with the toys and create some kind of scenario with the toys, but you're not going to ever reach the child that was left behind by doing that, because you're escaping. And it also can go into video games. Video games are one of the most popular, because not only will it affect the whole child to their developing stages, because they're going to want to always consume the product of escaping. They're going to want to always consume it. But that even bleeds into adulthood. And I mean, blatant to this very day, there are dang grown adults, husbands, wives, you name it, playing video games like a video game addict and having kids. No thanks. But the escaping mechanism, it varies all the time, because it also gets into those teenagers that start picking up addictions, start picking up drugs, start picking up things early, to cope with their environment. Because you got to remember, man, which I'm about to get into. So let's just keep it at that. So we're going to keep it before I get into the school system. But the kid is trying to create whatever kind of escape mechanism that it can. Which the more effective escape routes are going to come into the school system, because the child's creativity and stuff and influence can only be pushed so far in that environment. They have to get tips and tricks from other kids and how they're adapting in their environment, which brings in dysfunction from other homes into an already dysfunctional household. So, when you get into the school system, not only are you having to survive not only are you going to have to survive the everything back home, but now you're also going to have to, survive the school system, because, the traumatic experience has already happened. You're already in survival mode. There is no escaping the survival mode. You're going to always be in it, because now you don't want anyone to do that to you ever again, And so with the introduction of the school system and everything, it's still going to keep you on your toes. It may be more of a pleasant experience for some. For some, it's just even worse, and so on and so on. Every child's experience is completely different, because every individual responds to scenarios completely different. But going into the school system, it's a cesspool of just completely different households, and you're met up with a population of that, and these kids are going to bond. Of course, when it starts out in your pre-K stages and stuff, it's in an innocent frame. It's in an innocent time frame then. But as, the aging process hits, and, you're going up in grades, and you will start to notice that, formations are starting to be created. Kids are clicking with certain kids, just by, interests and stuff like that. And, usually the ones that have equivalent interests grew up in kind of similar households, or maybe worse. But They're learning from one another, because when they leave school, of course, school, when it comes to, the group that they belong to, that's going to be a sense of comfort, which can also be a form of escaping, everything back home, because, they'll want to choose their friends over going back to their environment. They don't want to go back to their environment. They're already scared, but they also don't want to, make that traumatic experience happen again. So they're still going to abide, But that's why, sleepovers are a big thing. They're wanting to bring that escape, to their household, so that they don't feel alone. You're my friend, or you're my friends, and you guys make me feel protected. I want to bring you, into my household so I don't feel so alone. So let's have a sleepover, And it's just stuff like that. But, there's an evolution of the school system. There's elementary. Some places have preschool completely separated from elementary. Some don't. But as it goes preschool, elementary school, middle school, high school, and some, because I know mine did, the 5th grade had their own little school, like their own little academy, because I guess it was because it was in the middle of elementary and middle school, and if I'm not mistaken, some actually just mesh a big portion of middle school in elementary school. But I'm not familiar with, different school systems and all, but it still goes to the same process as you grow old, as you continue to grow with age and, go up in grade level. The cliques are going to form, and, what some are put in, cliques where their survival in, that environment is going to be they're going to fall more in love with the escape there, because they obtain that sense of power that, their parentals or whoever looks over them has back at their house. They have that sense of power. So they're going to fall in love with the school system, because there's plenty of different people that they can, get out that aggression and whatnot. And then, other scenarios from there as well. Basically, to break down the school system is it's psychological warfare. You already had the traumatic experience back home, that you're never ever going to forget. Never. But now you're also going to be adding on to that, because now you're in a whole nother system. And this system is going to be in your developing stages, majority of it. Majority. The school system will be majority of your developing stages. Majority. But it's psychological warfare from every single school system. You are having to survive, and a lot of the kids live a completely different life than what they present to home, because now they're having to adapt with several different dysfunctional households and several different individuals. They have to adapt, because like I said, every individual is completely different. You don't know what that individual is going to do. The only person that knows what they're going to do is the individual themselves. They are the only ones that know what they're going to do and how to react and everything that they're going to do. they are the only one that knows. You don't know. So basically, the person you go as home, when you go home, can be completely different from who you are at the school system, because you're just trying to survive there too now. Your mind has already been flipped. It's the switch has already been flipped. And as you go up in grades, you start to realize that school it's a survival thing. Because, it gets to a point to where, you're bringing your report cards home, blah, 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 and, the parentals get involved, and, they strike fear, for you to get good grades and all this other stuff. But the thing is, and one of the things that, they refuse to take responsibility for is the damage that has already been caused. The damage that has already been caused that could be affecting those grades. They don't want to take responsibility for that. They refuse. They refuse. And so what they do is they, make you responsible for those grades that you were causing. This is your fault. Your fault. So, now you're realizing that you're having to step on eggshells at school as well, because you don't want to make your parents, your parentals mad, or, you don't want that traumatic experience to, reoccur. And, what's really sad is the traumatic experiences, there's some where it adds on to it, because there are going to be other scenarios that traumatize you even further that you're never going to forget. And yes, sometimes it will happen at school. Sadly, it will happen at school. For some, not all, but for some, they will have traumatic experiences that they will never, ever, ever forget. So basically, that just breaks down. It's survival. You don't want to. You already live at your house, stepping on eggshells and, trying to adapt to the standards that need to be met, so there is no reaction from the parentals. But now you're also having to step on eggshells in school, because you got, your report cards whenever they come out, and they used to have you. I know when I was in school, you had to get your parents to sign it, and I don't know how it is nowadays, but it's still the same mechanism, and because the parentals are going to have to be involved in the developing stages through the school system. But the thing is, majority of them are not even doing their part to help you. Majority of them are not doing their part to help you, because they're making you responsible for it all. They're making you responsible for it all. Instead of them, say you do bring home bad grades, they're not going to ask themselves, what have I done to, have you bring home these grades? What am I doing? What have I done? Like, how hard is it in that school? Are they getting very involved? Are they trying to find out? Or are they just taking the teacher's word for it, taking it home and taking it out on you from what was said, instead of you trying to find understanding with everything? People think parenting is a breeze. No, it's not. It's crucial, because every single move can be a detrimental move. That is why, if you are pregnant, it's time to turn your life around, period. But the thing is a lot of them turn their life around incorrectly. Because they're not making the correct choices, because guess what? The example was never, ever set for them. So they don't even know. They don't even know. So let's see here. So, the evolution of the school system, and it gets worse, from elementary school and middle school. Middle school is usually when the cliques are really, really created. You're going to notice a lot of the people that you were friends with, they're going to start, going their own way. And going towards the cliques that they truly belong to, because after middle school is high school, and high school is where the cliques are more permanent. And through each, evolution of school system, through each school in the system, its difficulty increases. So elementary is more easy, middle school is like normal, and high school is like expert, and of course college is more of your high school would be hard. So it's elementary is easy, middle school is normal, high school is hard, and then college is expert. And but the thing is when you get into high school, that's where those cliques are permanent. High school is going to cause a lot more trauma in that part of the school system, because that's where you should be getting the teachings of becoming an adult. But you're literally trying to survive all the tactics in high school as well. So you're having a traumatizing experience to an extent. And, like I said, every individual has a response to everything completely different. So everyone's high school life is going to be completely different. It's all about how they respond to it. And the thing is we're not taught how to properly respond to things in the households that we have, because, even, our own parentals, they don't even have, they respond how they feel, they're not, a lot of the times they don't have their emotions under control, and they react in a negative manner, which causes the traumatizing scenes that have happened, throughout the kid's life, because they chose to react instead of listening to understand and, coming up with a solution. They react and react and react. Those reactions have their own levels and their own, and, some are more traumatizing than others. And, high school is, it's the last portion that you got to deal with. So, you got the cliques, blah, 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 and, just surviving high school. And also in the high school is when the phases start to kick in. Now, some of the phases, they start off in middle school, like near the end times of middle school, because there's usually some kind of scenario that happens in that middle school range that affects, that kid, completely. They might be in question on some things, and, but they can't ask their parents, because, they've been introduced to the cesspool of different kids from different households and stuff, and they learn from them. And, around middle school time, that they'll start comparing, households and parentals. Why does yours let you do this? Why do they let you get away with this? Blah, 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 blah. And, middle school is a range where a lot of stuff, reality kind of hits, that they're in question. They can't pinpoint anything, but they're in question of a lot. And then high school comes around, and now the phases are kicking in because they're realizing that we're almost done here, and they're trying to find their identity for adulthood. But the thing is these poor kids do not know who they are as a person. There's a reason why. And it's because of that very first traumatic experience where the child was put on hold. The creativity in the mind plummeted because all they could do is focus on surviving. They were not focused on developing themselves and becoming themselves because that was not supported. What was supported was maturity. Maturity. Well, the parental's definition of maturity. Because you can point out several different things that, parentals do when it comes to their child that does not meet the exact definition of maturity. And you can go up and try to tell them, but their definition of maturity is going to be completely different from yours. And that in itself is a sign of a dysfunctional environment, a very dysfunctional environment. If you cannot meet the exact definition of what maturity is, something's not right. Something is not right. But so in high school they're trying to find themselves. They're trying to find that creative outlet. They're going through different phases, like from goth, prep, so on and so on. The phases. Hip hop style, whatever, rap style, whatever. They're trying to find themselves because they don't know who they are. And what's sad is, even after high school, some of them still live those phases in their 20s and so on. They never break it. Some of them never break it because they really believe that they found themselves through that phase whenever they did that phase. But the thing is phases are nothing but an escape. It's an escape of who you really are. It is an escape from the reminder of having to find who you are. So you just settle for this one because it seemed to get you the most attention that you were wanting when it came to that transition. And like I said, every individual has their own different expectations that they need to be met for them to finalize that. Every individual is going to be completely different. So yeah, when you're done with high school, you go into college with a high school mentality. And yeah, so you go into college with this high school mentality. And let me see here. Okay. So yeah, we're almost done. So you go into college with this high school mentality, and just to be met with, because there's one example that I love that I love to use in this portion, and it's you just a year ago, you were asking to go to the bathroom. When you get to college and you raise your hand to go to the bathroom, you are going to be met with a reality check. A reality check that they don't care if you go to the bathroom, basically. You're sitting there in college raising your hand like the good student that you are, because you knew you had to raise your hand if you wanted attention from anything. In college, it's a whole different ball game, and it is because you were supposed to be independent the whole time. Throughout the school system, we were codependent on everything. Codependent on our teachers, codependent on our principal, codependent. We were codependent on our parentals, codependent. Nowhere along the lines were we ever taught to be independent at all. We were never exposed to that example, and college is that reality check, because literally everything goes on to you. You're not codependent on anything. If you don't want to pay attention during a lecture, you don't want to take notes, the teacher in college is not going to hold you and say, now get to work, and they're not going to remind you, because you're there at your own risk. You can leave whenever you want. And this right here, college, this right here is a reality check. And this reality check causes a big majority of them to just drop out. Because in college, some even, get it right after high school, because some don't even get to go into college. But this is where you're met with lost. You're lost. You have no idea of anything. The only thing that you have is the example that your parentals have set, or guardians, or people you look up to, maybe, maybe some teachers, maybe you can still go back and talk to them. But the thing is, a high amount of times, you're not going to do that. You can try. You can try to find guidance from some of your old teachers. But the thing is those teachers now have a whole new classroom. They got a whole new responsibility. They're not going to be able to make time for you because you're not one of their students. So you're lost. You're lost. You're lost. And so, a lot of just pick up a job and they just try to find themselves. Some will continue, to go into college and whatnot. But that kind of gets into territories of other chapters that I'm going to get into when it comes to this book. But yeah, college is the reality check, and that reality check, or even if you don't go into college, if you just finish high school, heck, some people don't even finish high school because it was just too much of an experience that they just couldn't handle. And they didn't have, the support that they needed to continue. So now they are met with that lost feeling faster than someone that transitions into college. Because the person who goes into college may put like a year, maybe 2 years, before they realize how lost they really are. Some will finish up, and now you got a degree or whatever, or, whatever, you graduated from that portion of college. But the thing is, later down the road, they start to realize, I don't even want to do this. I grew up throughout college, and, some people will transition and change their majors all the time because they are lost. They have acknowledged that they're lost, but they're taking care of it to the best of their ability, and they're just changing around. They're just going different directions, different majors, wanting to do this, that. They're trying to find themselves, but it can never be found. You want to know why? It all boils down to that very first traumatic experience, all the way down from the very beginning of your developing stages. That one scenario that you will never ever forget. It all boils down to that. That is where you were put on hold. That is who you really were before that traumatic experience happened. That is why you are so lost.